Hey guys, I'm Dan Ramsey. I'm the military guy here at Sorinex. I'm going to introduce the next speaker, Aaron Ausmus. Been coaching about 20 years from Tennessee to Southern California. A lot of you guys know him as the pen and paper strength app, lifters with attitude, Mr. Squat-tober. Call him Quadzilla over here. Anyway, Aaron Ausmus.
I'm good. I'm excited to empty my pockets because I just want you to know that I don't have knowledge bombs that people talk about at conferences. I don't have knowledge bombs to give you, but I do have experiences. And that's what I'm going to do, is empty the pockets of many, many years, like you said, 20 years of experiences. I will do a lot less demo than Pete just did, because right now I'm at an all-time low on my conditioning levels. So I know better than try to demo something and talk. It'll just get you, it'll put you in the grave. When I meet with coaches, last night having some beers, when they corner me over here talking about, what'd you do when you were there? How did you grow from an assistant to a head? How did you go from a football role to a director? How did you manage your staff? Those are the questions when I talk to coaches that they corner me with and ask. They don't ask about squat progressions, speed progressions, how did you teach speed? How did you build a philosophy? It's all about experiences. So I said, why not open this up and give them what they want? Give you what you want. Questions you give me, I'm hoping I'm going to give you some of the answers through experiences. I was thrown into the water as a coach. What I mean by that is I finished as an athlete, 5 years in a program, and was awarded a GA position. It used to happen sometimes like that. Now it's changed a lot. You've got to work your way through, intern, volunteer, maybe become a grad assistant. The grad assistants are becoming less and less prevalent. There's not as many of them out there. So my formal training to be a strength coach was about 4 years at a place called Monty's Gym in high school that turned into Jason's Gym when they changed ownership. 5 years as an athlete, as a student athlete, as a shot putter, discus thrower, hammer thrower, weight thrower, getting coached by some great strength coaches. And some of them are actually here right now. So you come full circle with people. And I look, when I was an athlete, those grad assistants, those young guys cutting their teeth in the program were guys like Matt Jennings, who's here. He's the head strength coach now at Xavier. He was the guy coaching me when I was an athlete. Head strength coach at Xavier now. Eric Ciano, head strength coach Buffalo Bills, was coaching me as an athlete. These guys having an impact on me. Now he's a head strength coach in the NFL. Tommy Moffitt, all right, head strength coach now at LSU, was my strength coach for 4 years at Tennessee. Had an impact on me. Noel Durfee, who's a head strength coach over here at Duke. Visited with him on Wednesday. Had a huge impact on me. We talk about it all the time. Noel was like, Aaron, I was helping you change weights, man. All right, coaching, helping you change weights. And back then, we were changing a lot of weights because there was a lot of weights going on the bar back then. So my formal training is those experiences in those gyms by those coaches. So I get awarded a GA. Here you go. You're going to be our GA. Your school's paid for. Go see the equipment guys. They're going to give you your gear. So I go down. Hey, I'm a coach. They're like, oh, yeah, we heard about that. Congratulations. Here's your shorts. Here's your coaching shorts. Here's your coaching shirt. Do you need a whistle? Yeah. How about a stopwatch? Yeah, you're a coach. So I got all the coaching gear handed to me. And I remember I went in for that first group, and now I'm a coach. Used to be an athlete. Good thing is I had really good respect in that weight room from the times I was an athlete. So now I'm working with football. I'm helping with the track, helping with baseball. And I remember my first day getting to coach, and I think I had a handful of walk-on guys on a platform. And I'm just ready to coach, and these guys are doing stuff, and I'm just silent. And I'm bright-eyed, and I didn't know what to do. And I'm looking to the guys that used to coach me to help me. And they're like, hey, tell him to get his back flat. Hey, get your back flat. And all these things. And I was like, man, I've got to learn to coach. I thought I knew what I was doing. I knew how to lift, but I didn't know how to coach other people how to lift. So it was a huge learning experience for me to learn to coach one guy, two guys, maybe three guys on one platform. Get those guys technically sound, motivated, ready to train. And it's such a growing experience of those transitions and how you start becoming or creating bigger roles and how you expand your coaching ability. But the best part I remember as a GA was a moment when I got to see the head coach, the head strength coach in action. And I always remember this day. We had to run some 110s for some guys that weren't there in the summertime. So this, again, back in 1998, a couple guys had taken the summer off, maybe had a job, who knows? But they definitely came back a little bit out of shape. Face was a little thick, traps not very big, arms looking a little soft. So we got to get those guys out and test their conditioning before they can start fall camp. So here I am, a young GA, been on the job maybe a month. I was like, wow, this is going to get interesting. So we go out, 110, next 110, 3, 4 in. Well, guess what? The guys that weren't there were struggling. They weren't in good shape. They had not put in the work like the other guys. So now it's about rep 5, rep 6. One particular guy, I won't even name his name, was having a hard time getting to the line to put his hand down to run the next rep. He was what we call stalling. He was stalling. And the head strength coach, Coach John Stuckey, was standing off in the background. And he's just watching, but I notice he's creeping. He's creeping a little closer to that line. Now we're on about rep 7, rep 8. Everybody's struggling, but this one particular player is really struggling. So he takes a squat between the rep. It's like a hind catcher, squatting down, just like this. By this time, Coach Stuckey was mad walking because the coach was going hand down, hand down. The other athletes were up, hand was down. This guy's still in the back taking a squat. And he said, son, get up on the line. This player said, Coach Stuckey, I got to take a shit. Coach Stuckey said, you've had all summer to take a shit. We were working and you weren't here. So that right there showed me, wow, this coach had the ultimate comeback on the moment right there, and it was powerful. Everybody heard it, everybody saw it, and it was just a great impacting moment for me. Like I was like, I want to be a strength coach, a head guy, or move up to have those responses in those moments at the right times. And to me, that story always sticks. Transition, your first full-time job. For me, it was at USC as an assistant. The head guy was Chris Carlisle. He took me along with him. And I kind of look back to that moment. He comes back, hey, I interviewed at USC. I think I got the job. They said I could bring a guy. I'm going to bring you. Great. I was born in East Tennessee, was going to school at Tennessee. I didn't even know where USC was. I was thinking maybe it was here. He's like, no, it's USC is Southern California. I'm like, oh, okay, great. So I look back how that process happened, and I didn't ask what my salary was going to be. I didn't ask anything. It's just like, I'll take the job, because that's the way it was. There was no negotiations. Do I get a cell phone? Do I get a car? What teams am I going to get? I don't want golf. Give me baseball. You know what? I want to be football only. Nothing was talked about. I need a job. I'm there. I remember getting there, found out what my salary was, because it wasn't talked about. Oh, I found out I had health benefits. I didn't even know those were important at the time. Found out they were really good health benefits. I had a parking pass, but I had to pay $92 a month for it. But it wasn't a little better parking lot closer to the building, so I guess I got a better parking pass. But the first thing I realized, I was not a GA anymore. I realized real quick, he brought me to be his top assistant. And I just finished being a GA, and I wasn't ready. Just like I wasn't ready to start coaching as a GA. I knew I wasn't ready when he said, get the Power 5. We had a Power 5.1 program we programmed our strength with. He said, have this ready for Monday. So I was there all weekend. And I didn't know these guys' names. I mean, all these names, 100 new names. I don't know a name, face, who these guys are. Trying to put in projected maxes from what they left or looking at the record board, things like that. And I worked all Sunday on it. And I remember I came in Monday. He goes, we got the program ready? I said, yeah, coach, here's the sheets. They're all printed out. And he said, well, where's the folder, the little paper folder that we're going to put their program in with their name on the outside? And I said, well, you didn't tell me to get those. And he said, what do you expect? What, we're going to hold a sheet of paper? And I was like, well, he's like, oh, man, you blew it. Go upstairs, see if they got some. Luckily, I ran upstairs, football supply. They had some nice Cardinal, 3-ring the little metal thing you could put the paper in and seal it down. Got saved last minute. Had the programs ready. Write the names on the outside. Sheet, magic marker. Write them in really quick. Guys are rolling in to weigh in, and we're stuffing folders on our first day as a strength staff. I'm looking very, very unprepared, and I was. But what I also wasn't ready for was Coach Carlisle was very sick at the time. He was going through some cancer treatments that he just found out, previously taking the job. So every other Friday, he was flying back to Atlanta for treatments. So every other Friday, I was a head strength coach at USC, running the program. Just finished being a GA, which I didn't know how to coach then. Became an assistant and learning the ropes. Every other Friday, I was a head strength coach for 8 weeks. Calling the shots, delivering the plays, rallying the troops, and it was fun, and I learned a lot. What I was good at and what I wasn't, and what I definitely need to work on. What I learned real quick is you got to demand effort. You got to ask for it. You got to ask for it, you got to demand it all the time. If you don't ask for it, you will not get it. If you don't demand it, you will not get it. If you want them to work harder in a speed ladder, you got to ask for it. You got to demo it. You got to point out a good guy that's doing a great job. Use examples. I was learning those things really quick. I saw firsthand what someone being special meant. I used to hear Coach Stuckey say, that guy, or so-and-so is special. That player, if you watch him work, he's special. Well, I got to see a man named Reggie Bush come in the program. I learned what special was. Here's a guy, came out of high school, highly recruited. He comes into our program midsummer. He's from San Diego. And all the older players, all they've heard about, this Reggie Bush guy. He's going to take all the spots. He's going to be the #1 running back. So they didn't like him. And he showed up. He's about 186 pounds, biggest smile on his face. And we're on, like I said, we're midsummer, so we're doing some heavier running at the time. And he happened to show up his first day on a Friday. Well, Friday's a nice warm-up outside, a nice leg day inside, and go back outside. And I think that day we were running about 10 110s to finish. So the players were taunting him through the whole thing. Man, you wait till we get outside after we do legs, you're going to die. All this stuff. Oh, you picked the worst day, Friday. We have to run after weights. It's horrible. And Reggie's just smiling and working and, doing his thing. And so we go out to run. First rep comes up. Whistle blows. Boom. Reggie Bush is 10 yards in front of everybody. And he stays 10 yards the whole way down. So then guess what happens? They start going, yeah, you can win the first one. We got 9 more of these. Better learn to hold back. Better learn to conserve some energy. It's going to get hard. Second rep, 10 yards ahead of everybody. Third rep, 10 yards ahead of everybody. Here's the pack. Here's Reggie. Different pace, different mentality. So we get to rep 10. We had this little guy, real skinny, really fast, steps out in front of the group and says, ratio on the last one. Ratio on the last one. Let's go. Line it up. Whistle blows. First man down. Reggie, he is tired. Looks at him like, all right. Whistle blows, Reggie dusts him. So all these guys that held back, they held back to beat him on the last rep, and they still couldn't do it. That's special. That's a special guy. That's a special talent. That's a special mentality. And when you get those players, realize that. There are special people who comes through your program. But what I saw the most during those 3.5 years with Chris Carlisle is I saw him grow. He wasn't the most liked guy at Tennessee. Us young GAs and stuff, man, he had us doing all this crazy stuff, go laminate this and do this, and he was kind of a non-liked guy. So when I got invited to go, everybody's like, hee, have fun, man. Have fun with Coach Carlisle. But I saw this guy grow because he got to be his first head roll in the collegiate strength conditioning. He started blossoming. His attitude changed. His character was doing things. He was exploring. He was growing as a head coach. He was fun to work for. He was giving me a lot of things to do. So when those guys were coaching or calling me a year later, hey, how's it out there with Coach Carlisle? I'm like, man, it's great. What do you mean it's great? Like, dude's doing some really phenomenal stuff. Like what? Tell me. Well, he's really, we're putting a lot more emphasis on movement and on speed. We're putting a lot of time outside. Like what? Tell me. So anyway, he blossomed as a coach. He became a movement coach. If you ever heard Coach Carlisle speak, he's with the Seattle Seahawks now. He's a big movement guy. Doesn't ever talk about the weight room. Talks about speed, change of direction, and movement. And he's really good at it. He was a history teacher. He can teach in lessons. He knows how to teach things in lessons. So his speed, his plyo progressions, I used to just sit there with my jaw dropped. Like, where was this guy at Tennessee? I didn't know he had this ability to teach like this. This is unbelievable. So I was learning from him. And he would tell the players, guys, I got a degree in history, but I do know how to teach lessons because we had to do it in history. So these exercises, these programs, it's the same thing. But what he did, he took us so much time in the front end for what we called the warm-up. The players just laughed that we called this a warm-up because it was pretty extensive. It was a lot of speed, a lot of hard running fast, jumping, throwing med balls. It worked up to close to 40 to 45 minutes before we would ever enter the weight room. So what was that cut for me as the guy programming the strength? I kept having to try to cut things, take a set off here to keep us in their time zone. But we also found out we had to start working faster in the weight room to make times, to get guys in, get guys out in a certain amount of time. So we kind of developed this mentality in the weight room. It's like, man, next guy in, grab the bar. Next guy, hey, we ain't got time, next guy in. So I think as a coach, I was coaching a little less technique at that time. Really worried about how fast we were working, how the tempo in the weight room was, and probably some of the little minute cues, there wasn't time to address it. So we had to push, got them out. So we started at that time almost addressing how hard we worked by the guy's shirts. So when a guy came up and he had this little spot that had dryness here, we knew we got it right. Or the big men, they were just soaked. They looked like you'd thrown them in a pool, right? So we're like, man, program's great, working hard, moving. There was some things getting probably overlooked because we were so, how fast can we get it done? Bar never rests, next guy in. And the guys bought into it. They were great workers. So I get my first head roll from there, Idaho, big learning experience. So now I've taken you in a matter of 5 years of my life, GA, assistant, now head roll. So I go to Coach Carlisle I was like, give me one thing of advice. He's like, you got to really establish your discipline. You can always let off. You're going in a brand new program. Set the tone. Establish control. Make sure the guys know what you're in charge and all those things. So, man, I went up there with that mentality. Just pretty much an asshole, And coach guy, tuck your shirt in. Pull your pants up. Tie your shoes. You're late. You ain't squatting deep enough. Finish your pull. Boom. And Wendell Richards back there, it's the first time I met him, he picked me up from the airport. He was on our staff, and, I wasn't coaching details. We were just coaching mentality and being early and all that stuff. So I learned real quick, though, that just because you have the blueprint from USC and you bring it to another program, it doesn't mean you're going to have success. So the head coach also came from USC. He was our linebackers coach. So, man, he talked about USC all the time with that team at Idaho. We did this. We're going to do this. We're going to call this play on defense just like we did at SC, and wham, we got them. And, man, when we blitz, boom, they're done. And I was running the program in the weight room. Man, all I got to do, what do we do in the winter? All right, change it over to power, new school, new names, new maxes, right? We go to the season, the boom was us. We're getting boomed all over the place. I think we finished 3-9. We learned real quick. We had the blueprint, but boy, we didn't have the athletes. So really quick learning experience. Like, man, why is this working, man? Oh, why didn't that play work like it did? And man, jeez, we get killed. Oh, we're getting beat in the fourth quarter. Man, we never got beat in the fourth. We beat people in the fourth quarter. What's going on? So it was a learning experience. It was my first time to kind of manage coaches. I think I had 2 at Idaho and a guy named Fish that helped. So it was my first time running a program, managing some strength coaches. Again, wasn't ready for that either. Didn't know my role for that as a head guy. And work. I was there 10 months, 1 season. Next position, head strength coach, Ole Miss, 2005. I liked this role because I worried about football only. And I didn't have to worry about the other 20 sports. So this role was really good for me. Bigger staff, more guys to manage. But I had more firepower. I had more guys. Take our message. We got better coaches. We got more coaches to manage. With Tony Smith there for just a month or so. He moved on. He became a head strength coach. Noel Durfee, who coached me, when I mentioned earlier, when I was a shot putter, he was the coordinator. He was the director. He was the one that had to deal with all those emails from the other sports. We're not happy about our weight room time. Can we change it? I don't think we should play this music in the weight room. Can we change? Noel worried about all that stuff. And there was only maybe track and field in that weight room with us. And they trained in the afternoon. So for that weight room, it was really simple. It was a really good role. I worked for a head coach that sucked down about 10 Red Bulls a day. And he was go, 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 and more go. That's all he knew. His favorite word is let's go. We timed him at SC years later. I had a little clicker in my watch, or in my pocket. I said, I'm going to time how many times this coach says let's go. So we had an over-under on my board. And we had guys in the 300s. I'm going 380. This one dude's like, dude, I'm going 500, dude. He's going 500. And it happened to be UCLA week. So the let's goes were on another level. That's your rival right across town. So I'm out there clicking through stretch. Coach, let's go, let's go, let's go, let's go. Hey, let's go, let's go, let's go, let's go. I'm like, tick, 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 tick. And I'm just sitting there, and it's like, stretch is done. I'm like, dude, we're about a 140 already, and practice just started. This is getting great. I'm just ticking this thing, and I'm following around. And I think he was wondering why I was following around that day. So I just stayed in earshot, click, click, click. It ended up being, I think it was like 380 something for the day. But this is the first guy I worked with at Ole Miss. So it was a mentality of that. Imagine him towards the weight room. Huge supporter of the weight room. Had my back every day, every night, 24/7. If I sent a player to see him about an attitude problem, it was fixed. He was like, I heard you're messing up in the weight room. We need to get this right. Da-da-da-da-da. Things were fixed. Great support. I was also doing the go, go, go in the weight room too. I was kind of bringing that similar programming, a lot outside. We get in the weight room, we got to go. We got a certain amount of work, we got to fit it in this time, so we got to move. So I was doing, hey, bar never rests. Next guy in, let's go, pick it up. Hey, why are we waiting? You don't have time to get a drink of water. Next guy, boom, boom, we're coaching. We're coaching the flow. And I always noticed on the other side of the room, there was 2 platforms, and they were always behind, like a whole exercise behind. And that was from Noel Durfee. And it used to piss me off, because Noel was a friend of mine. Like I said, he coached me, but we need to go out and run after weights. We're sitting around waiting on them to do all their RDLs. And I was like, Coach, no, man, I don't know. How are you an exercise behind, man? We're flowing. 38 guys are done. Why are your 6 guys a whole exercise behind? And over time, more time, I kept watching. Well, I'd go watch. So I'm like, well, I'm going to watch these RDLs. I ain't got nothing else to do. So Noah was coaching the details, unbelievable. No, put the bar down, pick it up the right way. Flatten your back, slow down. Hey, finish, shrug at the top, details. Kid would just, round his back, and the last one said, nope, set it down the right way. So that slowness was because he was asking them to do it correctly. And he was coaching the minor details, picking it up right, hand placements, back flat, posture. And I started realizing real quick when we went to max, and test, power clean, squat, guess whose guys tested the best? His 6 guys, 8 guys that he always coached. They were technically better, their positions were better, their catches were better, the details were so much better. So I started realizing real quick, well, maybe we're a little too fast. We've gotten into this go, go, go a little too much. We had a great culture. We did not have to have music to lift hard. Matter of fact, who knows who LRB is? Little River Band. Some of you older people know. We would have great training sessions, great power clean sessions, squat sessions, front squat sessions, listening to the Little River Band. It didn't matter. We had a great culture of guys just wanting to work hard. As I was finishing, you always get your guys ready for pro day. Huge learning experience for me was a guy by the name of Brian Brown. Marginal, he's played some plays, safety, special teams. Very powerful young man. He's about 5'8", really stout built, very strong in the weight room, really good cleaner, really good squatter. So he's like, Coach, can you help me for my pro day? He's like, I don't have money to go off and train. And absolutely. So we train this guy for about 6 weeks. Every time I'd ever tested his broad jump, for those 3 years I had him, it was always 10-1, 10-2, or 10-3. He could break 10 feet. 10-1, 10-2, good day, 10-3. So it's about a week before his pro day. So we're training. I was like, hey, let's do a mock combine. So you get to know the order that you're going to do the events next week. Let's just jump once, measure it, do the vert, measure it. Let's run a 20. Let's do the 220. Let's kind of get in the mode of testing. So he comes over to the broad jump. I'm like, hey, man, remember you can't shuffle your feet. Big breath, toes, boom, let's stick it. First jump, he jumps 10-2. I was like, Brian, man, we're good, man. You're right where you always are. Nothing to worry about. You're going to come next week, you're going to jump low 10s. He's like, yep, ready to go, Coach, ready to go. So we go to the vert, we do our deal. Then we started actually training. We were training our plyos, and we're doing the triple broad, where you hop, hop, hop. And for skill guys, everybody knows the magic line is about 10 yards. You got guys that can 3-hop continuously and cover 10 yards. They're pretty explosive guys. Well, Brian that day hits 11. And then he goes about 11 and a half. I'm like, whoa, like this dude is jumping. So I was like, hey, Brian, one more. I was like, grabbed the guy, I was like, mark his toe, you mark his heel. And just get the best you can, where his toe, top of his foot, back of his heel, on his last jump. So Brian's like, Brian, just jump like you've been jumping. Jump that 11 again. I don't need you to try to jump 12. Jump 11 yards again. Brian jumps, boom, lands. We measure it. Guy jumps 12 feet on his last jump. He's like, yeah, but coach, this is, it's continuous, so it's not the same test. I said, Brian, you have the ability to jump 12 feet. Like, let's go back over here and lay down the tape again. I said, come up here, think about you just jumping 12 feet, close your eyes, take a deep breath and jump. The guy jumps 11 feet, standing broad jump. 30 minutes before he could jump 10-2, and that's all he had. Where did 10 inches come from? People are like, oh, you nervously stimulated him. Da, da, da. No, he found out something he could do. You raised his belief on something he could do. Tested for years, 10-2. How did he automatically jump 11 feet? He was told he can jump 12 feet. You raised his bar. It phenomenally happened. So I was like, well, the best thing that can happen is next week when he gets to test in front of the scouts. So Brian Brown comes over. I said, Brian, you can jump 12 feet. I know, coach. Takes a breath. Boom. 10-11 on his pro day. 10-11 on his pro day. We didn't go over and do the broad jumps. He was believing that he could jump 12, raised his standard. There's people in your program that have governors on them. Everybody knows what governors are. Restrictor plates. It's in NASCAR. You can only open the carburetor so much. You can only go so fast. Safety, 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 safety. There's things in your athletes that you just don't know you got to tap into. That was for me. I found it right there and realized, like, man, what if I could find a little of this, little of that, little of this, little of that on all my guys? Because they have this ceiling of what maybe they can do a one-arm row with, or maybe what they can do an overhead press with. From there, they have a ceiling like, hey, I can clean 150. That's all I've got. Maybe that's good. So that was a learning lesson for me. We all get fired after 3 years. I sit out a year. I go to North Texas, head strength coach for football. But that year of setting out, had a lot more wondering in my mind of the thing that happened to Brian Brown. Like, maybe if I coached the player a little more and tapped into his governor, his restrictor plates a little more, maybe I could get more out of these guys. I haven't done a good job of that yet. So when I go to North Texas, I'm excited to be a strength coach again. It's been a year off. I lost my voice in the first 5 minutes of the first day. It was my first time I got to stand in front of a team and deliver a team meeting speech in January. Because everywhere I'd gone, the transitions, I was always a little late. Oh, we already started 3 weeks in a program, and I had to literally come down. I'm your new head strength coach. Get behind the line. I didn't have time to talk about where I came from, what I believe in. Here's what we're going to do. Here's what we're going to achieve, all these things. So this was the first time I got to address a new team. And they made a position, head football, that was a brand new position. They wanted a guy not to have to worry about tennis, golf, all these other basketball. Give us the best you got for our football team. So I inherited two assistants, I think an intern, really worked with them a lot on what we wanted to get done. But setting the tone at that first meeting was probably the best thing I ever did, because I knew this was my first time to get to do this, talk in front of a team, and they don't know me and I don't know them. So very much like you are right here, it was so short and so sweet, but it set the tone so well. So let's pretend you're my North Texas football team here, and I'm your new strength coach. So it was very simple. Hello, I'm Aaron Ausmus. I'm your new strength coach. How many of y'all, that's the Tennessee me, how many of y'all work out or have worked out? Raise your hand. How many of y'all have worked out? You're my team. Right? Everybody in the room looking around. Is this a trick question? Finally, they're all like, they're seeing like, mine. I'm like, have you worked out? They're like, I'm like, great. So glad you've been working out. Because starting tomorrow, we're going to start strength training. Set the tone, what we're about to do. It's going to be different. There's a new emphasis. Working out's gone. We're going to start training with a purpose. We're going to start strength training. And that one thing set the tone for those 85, 90 guys really good. And I loved that meeting. And the coaches came out like, wow, you really put a fire in those guys, because they started going, well, wonder what I've been doing, because it sounds like what we're about to do is going to be different. And we're still lifting weights. We just named it a little bit different. What I started doing, though, immediately was start coaching players. Coaching movements, but definitely coaching players. So I definitely started putting in some front end and back end teachable moments. So instead of, rah, let's go. Hey, curl your wrist, finish your pull, da-da-da. All right, guys, see you tomorrow. Taking some time front end, taking some time back end, talking to the guys, bringing them up. What'd you think of this? Hey, when we got to the bag drills today, what happened? Yeah, that happened. How can we learn from it? Whose fault was it? Who's the leader on the team? Let's talk about how are we going to get better the next time we do bag drills, plyos. So I started taking time to invest in talking to them. Started seeing big differences. The culture and the things came around a lot faster. They started seeing me, hey, he's not just a guy that lifts weights. He's really concerned with how we do better, how we can work harder. Things were rolling. We started the summer. And the coach, when he interviewed me, said, we don't have guys stay here in the summer. There's like 30 guys that stay here in the summer. I'm like, what? We're a Division I program. He goes, yeah, but I don't think they've ever had a program where they really believe in it, so they don't want to stay around. I was like, well, that's my first thing I got to change. So it's day one, summer program, Monday. Coach comes by. Hey, how many guys are here today? Of course, he's not supposed to do that, right? But I'm like, Coach, we had 78 guys here today. He's like, isn't that like the whole team? Like, everybody was here. Tuesday comes. How many we have today? Coach, we had the whole team here. 78 guys. Wednesdays were off. Thursday, how many we had? We had everybody, Coach. Friday came around. Missing about 17 guys. 17 guys, no showed, no communication, and started their 3-day weekend. I was furious. I'm like, we've worked so hard, built for this. And they lay out on me on Friday. So the assistants are like, oh yeah, I'm surprised it took them that long this week. They're in the old mentality. Surprised it was only 17 guys. Thought it'd be more. So I was like, how can I fix this? So come Monday, after their weekend, I bring those guys up in the first group. There's like 6 of them. And I had their folder right there. They knew they were in a little trouble. And I was like, hey, you're committed on this program, right? Yes, Coach. Okay, well, the program trained 4 days last week. You weren't here Friday. Oh, I know. Well, I had, and this guy and I had this, and you know, we had. I was like, I know. So here's the deal. You said you're committed, so I'm not going to punish you. We're just going to make up the work. Oh, that's fair. It's like, okay, so today you're doing the lift from Friday, the running from Friday. Tomorrow you're doing the Monday stuff on Tuesday. On Wednesday, when your teammates have the day off, you're going to do Tuesday, then you're caught up. And they're just like, that's fair. So they expected me to send probably some young intern over and work them, take them through the running. So I sent the staff over to work the guys that had done the direct job, and I worked the guys that hadn't fallen in line yet. And real quick, we established, like, you're going to be committed to this program. You're really going to be committed to doing this work. The next Friday, I think we had 3 miss. Put them in the same situation. After 2 weeks, it was fixed. Because they saw this coach is serious about accountability to doing the work. Never punished them 1 minute. Never coached them different. Held them accountable to doing the work. You just chose to make a 5-day week and not have your Wednesdays off. It fixed it real quick. Go from there back to Tennessee. I'm back at my alma mater. Director of strength conditioning for men's sports. Great opportunity. Back home, where I started. Started in the middle of June. We're about 3 weeks into the summer program. Didn't get to have that team meeting, introduce myself, set a tone. It was a, hey guys, man, so happy to be back in Tennessee. I don't know if you know this, but I spent hours in this weight room lifting just like you guys are doing. Hey, let's go outside, warm up. Really quick intro, let's go. So we didn't have time to talk about philosophies and things. My first week was a disaster, and here's why. On Friday, we had hurdle drills. We had this. We lifted, we ran, we called it up. Great job, great weekend. See you Monday, boom. Man, first week's flying, man. I love being back in Tennessee. This is great. I go upstairs to make a copy. There's glass. You can see down onto the field. And I see these two athletes that started taking the hurdles and putting one more, and they're doing long jumps and jumping the hurdles. And I'm going, oh, wow, this is not going to end good. So I'm like, grab my thing. I'm walking down, turn the corner, and I see this kid, starting receiver, in the air, lands, and I see him just tumble roll. And I walk up, and all I hear him say is, oh, my God, I'm so stupid. Oh, my God, I'm so stupid. My knee. Oh, my God, what did I just do? Towards ACL. My first week. So guess what comes out in the newspapers? Athlete hurt and new strength coaches regimen, And I'm sitting there going, man, really didn't have anything to do with me. They were just cutting up. But, teachable moment. How could I change this? Put the hurdles up when we're done. If those hurdles hadn't have been out, that probably wouldn't have started. But because they were left out from the warm-ups before, guys, let's jump hurdles. But I can jump one more than you. So I was like, I do take responsibility for this. We should have put the hurdles up against the wall. That would have never happened. Teachable moment. I was managing the biggest staff yet. Tons of full-time guys, GAs. I was like, man, we got an army. These guys, so this was probably the first time I was really tapping into coaching coaches along with trying to get the athletes. Fired after the season, 6 months later. Coaching change, new coach comes in. It happens. Last stop was at USC. Get fired, but luckily have an opportunity. Great opportunity. I get to go to the place I started as an assistant. I'm taking over for a guy that had done a 9-year reign that I'd worked under that taught me so many things. And they probably just had the best 9 years in college football ever. So I'm leaving home sad, but excited for this opportunity. I know Carlisle ran a good program. I knew what I was going to get. I knew we were going to have good athletes. So when I got there, wow, familiar faces. The guy was with me at Idaho, Wendell back there. He's an assistant. Boom, home run. Guy I like, guy I trust. Tatiana was an assistant now. I coached her when I was there years ago. Triple jumper. She was on staff, liked her. Worked with the other guys, built the philosophy of how we're going to run our program. And I was thinking maybe we just come in and push replay from what Carlisle did, and we just start winning championships just like they did. So it didn't work that way. What I saw in the program on my first day, and I saw guys move really well. I'm like, well, very Carlisle-ish program. Guys run well. They change direction well. They listen well. They're very in tune to what we're doing. Movement, great. We got to the weight room. I was like, we just got to get back to some good lifting again. That had struggled. In my opinion, guys weren't back into lifting. And I knew why when we programmed the first day, and we have, I think it was a single leg squat. And it looked like a bomb went off, and everybody just blew up and went off and started doing their own thing. So we had one-legged squat on the sheet, and I saw a little going on there. This guy had modified it doing it with dumbbells. This guy was over there doing it with a machine. This guy was doing step-ups. I was like, what's going on? It's just one-legged squat. So I saw real quick that this part needed to be addressed. Let's find out who can't do these exercises and why. Let's put those guys in a specific group. Let's get a coach working with those guys. But let's get back on, if it says it's not a buffet, it's not choices. If it's power clean, we clean. If we squat, we're squatting. So let's get back to that mentality. It got fixed really quick. Players bought in. What was growing in me was the mentor part. The ability to tap into guys, the Brian Brown, the magic long jump, I was still wowed by that. So I was really taking the role with some guys. For example, our starting defensive tackle, great kid, tore his ACL in the spring game. Captain, devastated. So he has surgery. Great mentality player. So he comes down, and I'm like, Christian, we're going to get you on an upper body program. We're going to increase your upper body strength while you rehab. We're going to get you better. Great, coach. I believe in you. I believe in what you're all doing. Great. So he comes in his first week. What do I have? And I had this program. And I started right there, and I said, you know what, Christian? I'm going to do the program with you. I'm going to do this upper body program with you. Sets, reps, and this was a strong cat. So I was like, dude, this guy's going to make me stronger because he's going to push me, and hopefully I'm going to push him. So the bond we built over that whole year of me always lifting with him will never be forgotten. Guy stays in contact with me all the time. Social media, I'll post something. Man, coach, great to see you. Man, I loved training with you. Man, you took me under your wing. Man, I have so much respect. That was awesome. Changed my life. Mentor to me, coach. So those things are always there to mentor people. You got to get out of your seat. You got to put down the phone or get off the email and get out there with your athletes one at a time. Find ways to mentor them. You can mentor them now pretty much 24/7 through your phone, through social media. Find ways to do it. The next guy, Mr. Jabari Ruffin, came in, linebacker, highly recruited, 218 pounds. Coach is upstairs. He's got to be 235. He's got to be 235. How can we get him to 235? Year goes by. He's 218 pounds. Next year goes by. He's 218 pounds. They're like, what's going on? How can he not gain weight? So I sit down with him. Jabari, how are we not gaining weight? Coach, I'm trying. Good lifter. I was like, okay, how about this, Jabari? How about we have a competition? Me and you. He's like, what do you mean? How about I'll lose 20 pounds if you'll gain 20 pounds? He's like competition, huh? I'm like, yeah. I'll be willing to lose 20 if you'll gain 20. He's like, they'll put me at 238. I'm like, yeah, 3 pounds more we even need. So every Friday, this guy would come down. We had our weigh-ins every Friday. Sure enough, I'm dropping about 3 each week. He's gaining about 3 each week. We go into camp, and we tied. I lost 20. He gained 20. It became important to him. Why? Because it meant more. I did it with him. I challenged him. I took him under my wing. I mentored the player. I made sacrifices. It was awful. But he made sacrifices. I saw the dude, and he was eating all the time. Every time I see him, hey, coach, see you Friday. By the way, I'm up about 6 this week. I'm like, great. So I'm over there like, elliptical. Every 3 hours, peanuts. Oh, man, water all day. Man, I did fit my suit really well, though. So I mentored the player. We got results. I got to experience hiring bigger staff. It's when the football 5 rule came around, we got to hire like 4 new guys. They're like, hey, you're getting 4 new assistants. I'm like, I got to fire the guy. No, you're getting 4 new positions for Olympic sports. So I got to go through the new hiring process and hiring younger coaches, 26-year-olds, 28-year-olds. And man, first word, coach, what's it pay? Moving expenses? Do I get a cell phone? What about a car? Training table? 3 meals a day. I'm just going, dude, they're negotiating. They ain't got to offer the job yet. Like, you got to earn the job. We'll talk about those things, but you haven't even interviewed. And I'm like, man, has things changed? I went to like, give me the job, please, get there, find out what you make, find out you got benefits, find out you get a parking pass. And you're just happy to coach. And then it was, hey, which sports do I get to work with? Just one, right? I'm like, no, you're going to do swimming, soccer, and women's basketball. Well, if we're successful, can I just do women's basketball? I'm like, what are you here for? You're here to coach. Why limit yourself? Raise the demands of your program for everybody. Don't settle and pull down to make it 3 or 4 people not complain in your program. I learned that. How many of you done that? All right, well, let's plan this awesome run. Well, we get to hear what's so-and-so probably going to mouth off. It's too hard. Oh, yeah, let's take that down a little bit. Let's take that down a little bit. Let's pull that out. And all of a sudden, your program becomes average. Your strength, your power, your speed, it's average because you're listening to the 3 or 4 complainers of your program in your mind. And here's what happens. You finish your program, and all those other 90 guys are like, Coach, we're going to step this up a little bit. I don't think that was real challenging today. And I'm going, guilty. Guilty of listening to those 3 or 4 complainers and what they're going to think, what they're going to do. So raise the demands and teach all how to rise rather than lower demands to keep some from complaining. Transition periods in your program. What I mean by this is when you go from off-season to spring ball or summer training to fall camp. Circle those on your calendar. The day you transition is the most important time of your program. I promise you. Athletes are always going to look for differences. So when you had a great off-season, and you're about to start spring ball, they're going to come down to that first in-season lift and kind of go, what are we going to do? Oh, wonder how we're going to squat now since we practiced last night. What's going to change? They're going to pull up. The expectations in here are going to lower a little bit. They know we're tired. They know we're beat up from practice. Don't change things. Change your volume, whatever you want to do, but don't change your expectations. Those days are your most important days. I promise you. Have plans, have backup plans. Have that loaded response when they give it to you like Coach Stuckey did. Have the loaded response ready to go. Faith in your program. We were ranked number 1 going into 2012. Finished the season 7-6. My staff, the players, everybody's going, what are we going to do this next offseason? How are we going to fix this program? Oh my gosh. Like, Coach, we won 10 games the year before. We had a bad season. Yeah, but what are we going to do to address? We just went 7-6. So we had a staff meeting. My staff comes up. They're coming in with these huge notepads. They're thinking I'm going to change the whole program. They're ready to write a whole new program up. I'm like, guys, looked at them right now and said, guys, we ain't changing shit. We're going to coach squats. We're going to coach cleans. We're going to get them behind the line. We're going to not let them bend over when they condition. All the things that we did really well and won 10 games. Next year we win 10 games again. But everybody was up and roaring, we got to change the world because they had one bad season. Believe in your process. Stick to it. Don't get caught up into all the things that take you away from your job. If you're responsible for football, go after football. They come at you and like, hey, why don't you be on this little committee? Why don't you be on this culture program? Hey, let's do this. Let's do this. And you start going, this is from the AD. Okay, yeah, great. All of a sudden, you're missing the lift because you have to go to this meeting. Da-da-da. But in your mind going, man, I'm so involved now with all these sports, all these sport coaches. The AD loves me because I'm doing things he asks. Man, maybe if we ever get fired, maybe I have a chance. I've bought into the whole department. Don't do it. I'm telling you. If it doesn't win football games, don't go to it. If you're in charge of football, get football right. If you have other things to distraction you, cancel the meeting. I'm not involved. I need to go down and train those guys. That way, when you get fired or whatever happens, you're like, yeah, we gave it our all. I was there every time coaching the guys. We didn't win enough. Real quick math. Write this down. Off season. Most winter programs off seasons, how long? 7 to 8 weeks. Let's go with 7. Write 7 down. What's the summer program? 8, right? What's 7 plus 8? 15. At the top of that, put off season. Over to the right. New math. Put competition / in season. Spring ball's how long? 5 weeks. Fall camp, 4 weeks. 5 plus 4. Season. I've got 13 because there's always a bye week. You don't go in your bye week and go, oh, we're off season this week and go right back to in season. You stay in season program mentality. And then let's say you're fortunate enough to make a bowl game. That's 3 more weeks. I've done the math for you. It's 25 weeks. So you have 15 versus 25. Learn to be a good strength coach in the 25. Learn how to be a great strength coach in the 25. When guys are practicing, when guys are in competition, find ways, because they're there, to teach them and get them stronger. It can happen, but if you don't have a mentality to push that, it won't happen. I see social media is great. All these programs, winter program starts, summer program starts. Man, look at our guys squat. Look at our guys run. In season starts. Crickets. No one's posting a video of the guys training. No one's doing hardly anything anymore. Why not? You're in in-season mode 62% of the year. You're in off-season mode 38% of the year. Find a way to get stronger when you're at the most time, 62% of the year. There's ways that you got to find it and you got to ask for it. Lastly, there's 133 days till Squat-tober, and I'm going to see y'all's asses in the rack.